Hello everybody, welcome again to another Rekt Stack review. Today we're going to be going over Shellter. Shellter, for those who don't know, is a dynamic shellcode injection tool. It's one of the first and truly dynamic PE infectors ever created. From the website, it can be used in order to inject shellcode into native Windows applications, currently only 32 bits. The shellcode could be something you created or something generated through a framework, one case Metasploit. Shellter takes advantage of the original structure of the PE file and doesn't apply any modifications such as changing memory access permissions and sections, unless you explicitly tell it to, adding an extra section with RWE access and whatever would look .gender AV scan. So there's no crazy modifications in that way. It uses a unique dynamic approach which is based on the execution flow of the target application. And that's just some of the stuff it can do. It's not just an EPO infector that tries to find a location, insert an instruction to redirect that execution to the payload. It's actually an advanced infection engine that never transfers from the original execution flow to a code cave or an added section in the affected PE file. So what Shellter really is good at is evading AV. Now this is going to be really useful for our red teamers, and it's going to be the bane of existence for blue teamers. So let's just go with some of the main features from the free version, which can be downloaded from https://shelterproject.com. It's compatible with Windows 64 and x86, starting at XP, SP3 and above. If you're in the Linux world like I am, or the Mac, you can use Wine and or Crossover. It is portable. As you can see, there's no install required. Everything is right here. You can see I played around with putty. I'll go more of that later. There's no static PE templates, framework wrappers, etc. It can accept any 32-bit payload, whether that's generated by Metasploit or a custom one that you yourself wrote. With all types of encoding stuff. It has stealth mode, which preserves the original functionality of the app you're infecting. Multi-payload PE infections, a proprietary encoding and user-defined encoding sequences. Both those options are available. You got reflective DLL loaders. It comes with some embedded Metasploit payloads, dynamic thread context key, junk code polymorphic engines, fully dynamic injection location based on execution flow. It does and is available in CLI, and it's just a beast. I guess I would say it's a beast. This particular version that I'm going to show you today is Shellter Pro. Now, Shellter Pro is going to be made available 20th of March. You can get it now under pre-order. Some of the things that the Pro version does that is not available in the free version is execution flow data files. Now, this is really cool if you find yourself with a particular exe that you're using all the time. You run it once, it essentially maps out that execution flow and then saves it. So the next time you go to infect the next PE, boom, it's done. It's real quick. We also have multi-payload chaining. So if you're one of those Hail Mary Metasploit users, or if you just want to have multiple payloads for a segmented attack, if you have to pop something before you pop something else, the Pro version is what you want to use. It's not to be confused with the multi-payload infection capability that's supported in the standard build. That one you have to restart Shellter. It's a whole mess. The Pro version is where it's at. And it also has more built-in payloads. So it adds reverse HTTP, reverse HTTPS, reverse TCP DNS, and of course a shell reverse TCP DNS, along with the standard metinterpreter and etc. That come built in with it. We also have a standalone encoder, so you may just want to encode the payload using its engine, but have another way of putting it out there. You may want to encrypt your code and then submit that blob of data to Shellter. So essentially, the Shellter Pro version exposes the proprietary encoder generator to the user as a standalone feature. So, bam, got a little more bang for your buck there. It does PE compatibility check, so that's going to definitely help you. The PE file size increase. So, if you want to put a little extra oomph into your application, if you write a quick little shell application, or I'm sorry, Windows.NET application or whatever, and you need it to be a little fatter, right? Because you just quickly made a malicious application and 10 kilobytes for a full program just isn't good. This will pad it correctly. Also, a lot of the AV signatures rely on certain file size ranges in order to decide if the engine needs to dig deeper into the PE file or not. So, you kind of use a little extra oomph again. And of course, it adds some extra command lines, command line arguments. Now we were able to get us a copy here thanks to KyrieCon. We've had him, I've talked to him on the show before on nopskids.com, where me and my good buddy Christian Marvel host a periodic, sporadic show. We have another one coming up to go into details and do a nice little interview with KyrieCon again. But just to show you some of the features, how easy this tool is, and why a red teamer should do it. Now, again, this is going to be pre-order. It's going to be released the 20th of March this year. Whether or not you think you need it, you need to buy it anyway. Because when you do need it, you won't know. And let's talk here, okay? Single user license is only $30. Right now you can get it for $25. It's real simple. You go to shelterproject.com/go-pro. You download his PGP key, use your PGP key, you send them some information, it's on the page, couldn't be easier, you get this application and it works. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this up real quick. It's an exe, as you can see. And what we end up with is this. It's pretty. We got auto, manual, and of course H, which gives us help. Now it gives us all throughout the application some great tips, exactly what you're going to do, and what each option is. In this case, for the sake of argument, we're going to do A. And instead, we're going to perform an online check. And again, if you don't understand what an online version check is, you can hit H. It will tell you. So, as you can see, it's not available in wine mode. So, you got to keep up to date on that. Otherwise, you can just say, yes, it's checking, I got the latest version. Now, it's going to ask you for a PE file. Personally, I like injecting my putty. Why? Because I'm a weirdo. So, for the sake of argument, on my desktop, I have my copy of putty. I'm going to pop that in real quick. And we are going to have putty in a heartbeat. I thought I had it on here. Apparently I don't. So give me a second. Okay. Here I have it. I moved it to my documents. I copy it in there. I tell it I'm going to inject my putty. There's a backup file. It's already located. It's already there because I've already did it. It goes and looks for the check, gives me my compatibility information here. Gives me if it's not packed or whether it is packed. Says what was taken out of it. Digital signatures, DLL characteristics, yada yada yada. Now you can see here it says load execution flow data. Because I've done this before, it knows already. Well, it's asking me anyway. Because it has taken, as soon as I hit no, because I want you to see the difference here. If I was to say yes, in the Shellter Pro folder, I have EPD data. And what EFD. And what that EFD data is, see right there, use it on FreeMind too, is the execution flow data of that application. So now that I have that, I could give it this EFD. It doesn't have to run it, doesn't have to look for it. Boom, it knows where it can put it, it knows the outline of that PE, and can immediately inject into it. But I want to show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to say no. And again, if I wanted to, I could hit help. It'll give you exact information I said. Use to store execution flow tracing data. You can use these files with their corresponding executable files to perform quick injections without the need to go through the tracing stage every time. Now, personally, it's not a huge, you can see it, boom, 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 it's tracing it right now. It's not very long, a couple seconds. It's going to go through, going to trace them. You can see the disassembly language DLL is created successfully. There's some cool thread environment blocks for you to look at, and you just get to sit here while it encodes, or while it traces said file. When it's done, did it in 0.489, 0.489 minutes. For a bigger file, likely longer. For if I was to load that EFD file, it would be instantaneous. That whole step we just took would be gone. Another reason to go pro. While one-offing these applications, you're not going to save any time. But if I was to do this on an enterprise system, or if I knew that I was constantly had one file, people just love to click the file that said click me.exe or don't click me.exe. It would be click, 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 and I can just change my payload, load it up here. And this is only available in the Pro version. Here, enable stealth mode. I could hit yes, I could hit no, I could hit help. Now, stealth mode is going to preserve the original functionality of the infected PE file. And it will also enable Shellter's encoder. Now, I can't think of a reason you wouldn't want to enable stealth mode. By instinct, even if I didn't know what it did, I'd hit yes. I'm sure there's a legit reason out there. I can't think of one. Do I want to do payload chaining? As you can see here, multiple payloads in conjunction with stealth mode. Now, stealth mode is useful when the user wants to allow the infected application to run as normal, right? Red team. If you enable multi-payload injection with stealth mode, then the thread responsible to create the new threads for each payload will continue while allowing the payloads to execute. So the applications will be running, and in a whole separate threads, your exploits are running. Now, I don't want to do payload chaining right now. I want to show you what one payload does. But you could have multiple payloads. So these are the payloads that they have available. We have WinExec, shellbind, shell reverse, and a bunch of metinterpreter bind request, and those are stages. So I'm going to do WinExec. I like WinExec because it's going to do what it's going to do. It's going to run a command for me. Whoops, did that all wrong. So I'm going to do a listed one. Alright, so now I hit an 11. The reason it's asking me is because if I have a custom one that I already wrote, encoded differently or whatever, you could hit C and then move on. I skipped a step there, and for that I apologize. So now it's going to ask me to fill out the variables that each one of these payloads require. Now if you've used Metasploit before, you know they're going to ask you for the port, the IP address, that kind of information, the L host, whatever. Just like you would in Metasploit. So for here, I'm just going to type CMD. Boom. Whole bunch of magic goes across. It tells you exactly what it does, what it's doing. All up in here, we have fetching IAT pointers. It's doing all kinds of magic. You can see the junk codes being added, all that kind of stuff. Now, do I want to increase the size? I don't. It's putty. If I wanted a 2 megabyte one, then I would. But so now it's going to verify. It's going to check to make sure that everything, including the payload, was put in correctly and all of that good stuff. I'm going to press enter. She's done. That's it. Now, when I go to Shellter Pro, you'll see putty bug, right? This is essentially my application. Now, what's so cool about it is, double click it. Now what's happening here is your putty's running. It popped up on my other monitor, but let me get it across. So what you can see here is my putty did pop up, but also, this is really funny, now I have my command exe. Not bad. Not bad. Obviously, running the command file, you know, it's not the most best way of doing it, I guess you could say. It's not the what I would do. I mean, it's pointless, right? But it should show you some of the cool features that just Automatic has. You know, in 17 minutes, a little over, I was able to get a PE file, in this case putty. I was able to have it run a command locally. I was able to encode it. I was able to pack it, put it all together, and execute it in 17 minutes. If you do this as a red teamer all day long, it's going to pay for itself. It really is. We can scan it all day long with all types of AB, and it's not going to find it. It's pointless. So again, I want to thank you for watching this quick video. There's tons more to do. If you go to www.shellterproject.com, that's SHELLTER project.com, you will see many demos. They have some great ones, including the multi-payload chaining. They have all types of demos. They got showing off the execution flow data files, showing the execution flow data files in a more advanced method of it. Multi-payload chaining, the standalone encoder, and they even got a really cool pre-release teaser that just kind of shows off some of the cool stuff. And like I said, Kai Recon is a really cool dude. He's worked hard on Shellter. I really think it's an underappreciated, underutilized tool that should be in your workflow, especially if you design or create any sort of vulnerabilities at all. If you're a vulnerability hunter, this is or a malware distributor, red teamer type guy, this is a software you want. Like I said, get it cheap. It's on sale right now. You can get a business license, a single user premium license for $85. Now you got to contact this man to give you the breakdown. But once you get it, you're good. Keep in mind that each license is per user license, so they can't be transferred. Okay, as long as essentially the premium and the business license, all that stuff, essentially doesn't proceed to so, you know, it is what it is. The standard license gives you lifetime access to it, to every major version and subversion. The advanced license gives you lifetime access to the Pro or subversions. And then the next major version, the premium one, gives you lifetime access to the purchased and the future major versions and the subversions. You can't lose. You can't lose. Okay? Now to contact him, okay, you gotta send an email. Well, first you gotta go to his website because you need to get his PGP key. This guy is serious. Okay? Serious. Serious business. Go to his website, you download his PGP key. Okay? You take your PGP public key, send that to sales@shellterproject.com. No ifs, ands, or buts. PGP's the way he's going to go. Love this guy on that. Shellter Pro is for InfoSec professionals only. It's on his page. I can't stress that enough. Don't come at him if you're not trained, if you're not, if you don't have a legitimate reason to have this, don't go at it. Don't go get it. If you're legitimate, if you're researching, if you are just have some POCs you want to try out, Shellter Pro is a must go. Last time, https://www.shellterproject.com. Go there, go pro, tell them Rekt Stack sent you. I don't get money for it. I just want to know Rekt Stack love and that all the hard work is put into it is being appreciated. So thank you again. It's been a Rekt Stack review.